Yo, what's good everybody? Guy and Kicks here. In today's video, I'm bringing you guys a review of the New Balance 550 in the white and gray colorway. I recently picked these up through Kit. They had a pretty good restock a few days ago, and these were sitting in my size, so I was like, what the heck, let me grab a pair, even though I really don't need a mostly white 550, but they are still very clean and they're still pretty cool to have in the collection, and they're also a pretty good alternative to an all-white Nike Air Force One. So with that being said, let's get into this review and let's talk about them. So if you're pretty familiar with the sneaker world, I'm sure at this point you've heard of the New Balance 550. If you haven't heard of the New Balance 550, these are an 80s basketball shoe that was basically brought from the archives by Teddy Santis and Emily Andor when they did a collab with this particular model back in 2020. That gave this model the boost that it needed and the hype that it needed for it to be what it is today. The 550 was designed by Steven Smith, who is also the same designer who did the Yeezy Wave Runner and also the New Balance 1500. I believe this white and gray colorway released back in January of 2022, and the retail price on these is $110. So like I said earlier in the video, I really didn't need to grab a mostly white 550, especially since I have some of the ALD 550s already, but I saw these sitting and I grabbed them. And even though we are in September, the chances of me wearing these are very slim, but I could keep these fresh and break them out next year, or I could still wear them throughout the season as well. As you can see here, you have a mostly white leather upper. You do have some different materials on the upper as well. For example, on the toe box, you do have this cutout there where you see a little bit of mesh, and you find that similar mesh material around the ankle collar of the shoe, which is actually very well padded. That same mesh material can be found on both lateral and medial side around the heel counter of the shoe. The tongue here is primarily made out of a nylon material, and you have that tag on the front of the tongue with some New Balance and 550 branding in black. These 550s come with ortholite insoles, and the insoles on these are mostly black. You do have the New Balance branding in white. You also find like a padded end logo on both lateral and medial side around the mid panels of the shoe. You'll find some 550 branding on the lateral side as well. The leather material that New Balance mostly uses on GR 550s is okay, it's not great. However, this leather does feature some perforation that you'll find around the toe box and also around the mid panels of the shoe. These also come out of the box with these white laces. These are a non-made in USA New Balance, so they are gonna come laced up. All the way to the heel part of the shoe, on the heel counter, you find the running New Balance logo. In terms of the midsole and cushioning system on these 550s, you're not gonna find nothing special here. These are an 80s basketball shoe, so they're gonna feel pretty firm and flat. However, with the ortholite insole, you do get a little bit of cushioning, which helps with the comfort and feel of the 550. This midsole does have a semi-aged look to it, or vintage look to it. However, when you have them in hand, they look pretty white. It looks pretty fresh, unlike some photos, especially the ones on the Kith website. It makes this midsole look more aged than it really is. And real quick, guys, I just want to show you a quick comparison how they look next to the MLE Andor 550s. Obviously, the 550 definitely has more of that aged or vintage look. These are more on that pure white side, especially on the upper. The midsole obviously still looks pretty white compared to the ALD. The ALD definitely has that aged midsole, but just want to show you guys a quick comparison on how they look side by side. On the outsole here, you have a rubber outsole, and it's mostly in that gray color, so it gives it a little bit of contrast between the mostly white upper part of the shoe, and then all the way to the heel part of the outsole, you have some New Balance branding as well. When it comes to sizing with the 550, I recommend going true to size here, especially just to give you guys a little bit more room and comfort. The only problem with the 550 is that for the most part, you are gonna get some heel slippage here, even if you go true to size. I've gone a half size down with 550s, and I still experience the same heel slippage, so I'd rather just go true to size just to get that extra comfort and extra room so my toes don't feel too tight. When it comes to comfort with the 550, these are not going to be the most comfortable sneaker you can buy or the most comfortable New Balance sneaker you can buy, but they're still pretty comfortable to be worn throughout the day, no problem. If you're someone who owns Nike Dunks, Jordan 1s, Adidas Continentals, Reebok Club C's, these are going to feel pretty similar to those. All right, guys, so my final thoughts on these 550s. You know, when I picked these up the other day, I figured, you know, I'll make a quick review for you guys. Pretty simple colorway, should be very easy. However, I went on social media a couple of days ago and I saw someone post a question about the 550 status in general. You know, is the hype dead? Is the shoe dead? Blah, blah, blah. You know, me personally, this is just my opinion. I think the 550 is currently in a good spot right now because a lot of the GR colorways that were selling out very quickly at the beginning are now sitting, especially like a colorway like this. It's sold out on the New Balance USA website, but it's still available in websites or retailers like Kith, for example. Colorway like this, in my opinion, should be always available and should always be sitting because this is a particular colorway that should be available and easily accessible for anybody who wants it, because I think this colorway is a good competitor to an all-white Nike Air Force One. Obviously, the Nike Air Force One is an iconic shoe, and I'm not saying that this one is better than the Nike Air Force One. However, it's a great alternative to go with the 550s, especially if you're tired of seeing Air Force Ones all over the place. You know, I think the 550 still has a lot of potential. You know, I think a lot of the collaboration that we've seen so far have been pretty simple in general. I know the ALD ones, in my opinion, are the best ones, but when you look at those colorways in general, they are kind of simple and it's always the same kind of style, same materials and things like that. I feel like someone like ALD or any other collaborator can really use the 550 and do, you know, some really cool stuff, some crazy stuff as well, similar to what Nike has done with the Nike Dunk. You know, I also think that as consumers, you know, sneakerheads, sneaker collectors or whatever, you know, we shouldn't be just worried about if a sneaker has hype or has no hype. If you like a particular model, if you like a particular colorway, just buy it and wear it. Like, you don't always have to buy or wear a shoe just because the shoe has hype. If you think that the hype of the 550 has faded away, that the 550 has reached its plateau and you don't want to wear them anymore, hey, that's fine. But me personally, I think that the 550 has been established, is a shoe that's probably going to be around for a very long time now. And I'm always going to wear 550s, I think, in my opinion. I don't see why I will stop wearing 550s just because they're not hyped anymore. And I think that's a good thing. You want brands to oversaturate a market, especially when this particular colorway was selling out in seconds a few months ago. And now it's pretty easily accessible. So that's, to me, a good thing and a great thing. And I hope that New Balance saw that and they were like, you know what, let's just oversaturate the market with certain colorways so that people can get them for those who really want them. So with all that being said, guys, let me put these bad boys on and show you guys how they look on feet. Alright guys, so that's it for me. Hopefully this video brought you a detailed look of the New Balance 550 in the white and gray colorway. Now I'll ask you guys, let me know in the comments below, do you think the 550 has reached its plateau, the hype is over, the shoe is dead, or do you think that the 550 is in a good spot right now? And like always, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. To all the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. If you're new to my channel, this is your first time watching one of my videos and you like this type of content, definitely feel free to subscribe. Hit that bell or hit that notification button, whatever. Hit that like button as well to support the channel because I will definitely appreciate that. I'll also leave a link to my Instagram page below where you guys can go check out my page and follow me there as well. And that's it, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.